Hello. Oh, welcome. Oh, we got to look there today. Hi, I'm here with a friend. This is Day. And so I have been getting him onto the Vim Tmux bandwagon. And so we're going to talk about LazyVim together. I'm going to help him with his setup. But yeah, we're just going to hang out.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. This
So,
is my teacher.
I know. And all of the people that are here usually are part of the Discord server. So we just like to hang out and talk about this stuff.
Yeah, we're all nerds. So
We're all nerds.
Yeah.
So LazyVim, we're gonna do LazyVim today. We'll let people trickle in. What's up, Andres? He's a regular here.
Hey.
He's got lots of solid advice on this stuff too.
I'm excited. My first time on the stream.
Have you ever live streamed before?
No.
There you go. First time. So for those that don't know Day, you were a boot camp instructor.
Yeah.
So you've taught before. Yeah. You've definitely helped educate people in this space.
But it was pretty much like the C# thing. So
C#, like yeah.
Visual. Everything's click, click, click. Mm-hmm. Until I got introduced to Vim and stuff. And now it's like command line. So
yeah, I do all the command line stuff. We have a good time here on stream talking about this kind of stuff. But yeah, it should be fun. We had a big stream last week. I was talking about exploring the idea of making my own distro. So not LazyVim, not AstroVim or any of the others, but make a new one myself because I have a community. Yeah, I have a community and we were joking about Medeski Vim. Okay. So it's like, okay, that's funny. I didn't love the name, but I wanted to explore the idea. And so we landed on this idea of like distros are opinionated and include everything that you would need to be productive. And then most people I know are in this bottom space of custom configurations where you do everything by hand. There's no opinions because you're doing it all yourself, but there's also everything's sold separately, battery sold separately. So you have to sort of put everything together.
Yeah.
We were sort of joking about the graveyard of like, if you just follow someone's YouTube video blindly and like copy paste, but don't know what's going on.
Eventually it's going to come back and bite
you. It's going to not necessarily have everything you need.
Yeah.
But is it someone else's opinion? And then like, we were landing on this last week and I kind of like this idea of like, could I, like me and you are going to talk about it today. You have LazyVim installed. How would you customize it to add a new feature? Or how would you override an existing feature, which is a lot of people have problems with that because they don't necessarily know the underlying package manager, which is it's called lazy.invim.
Yep, I started
with so that's the package manager, and then LazyVim is the distro.
Yeah.
So we'll explore that today, and I'm sure people on stream come to the comments, ask your questions. I've been using LazyVim for, I don't know, I think as soon as it came out. So how long has that been? 2 years? I'd have to go back and figure out where he released 1.0, but I was a pretty early adopter to LazyVim when it came out. I don't know if I have to push
2023
back a bunch of times. Let's see how far back can we go. And I've contributed a little bit to this project, and I use lazy.invim a lot for some stuff under the hood. So it's been at least a year, I would say. I think we're getting around a year, yeah. So
you're missing out for a year.
So January 2023. Wow, it's only been a year. That's crazy. It feels like it's been longer.
It's pretty relatively new stuff.
And so here's the official release. 2021 or 2023. Anyway, so it's been fun. It's been growing a lot. I mean, we're at 12,000, and he actually has been pushing a lot of updates in the last week.
7 hours ago.
See, 11 and 12 and 13 all came out in the last week. So he's been merging pull requests.
Nice.
But I'll show you today how you can extend or change the functionality without having to contribute to LazyVim. You can just put files in a certain place. Yeah. Yep. Do you have any immediate questions? How was your experience setting it up?
Oh, smooth, very smooth. I think I changed from like the management, like the package management. I changed from like the Vim plug,
yeah.
Vim plug to lazy.vim. That was like pretty smooth too. After that, I found about like LazyVim, and
Okay,
then just download everything to that folder, and everything's done. Like
nice.
way better.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Easy.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. And so, what would be like the first thing you'd want to add that's not there yet?
It's not there yet.
Is anything obvious come out? Like maybe you don't know. Maybe there's like I don't know what the options are, right?
I mean, it's like not feature, but like some customization. Like
Right.
maybe like search. Oh, okay. I disabled the S from the flash.vim
Yeah.
thing. I think that's like that caught me off guard. I was like, oh, why doesn't the S work? So that, and then I want to search the hidden file. So like to
Right.
show the hidden file, search the hidden files, and something I still haven't quite figured out yet is like how do I locate the file on the new tree? Because like on like IDE, JetBrains IDE, you have this little icon there. You click on it, you just land on where that folder is.
Right.
Nested structure.
Yeah.
And that's something I haven't figured out yet. So
yeah, there's a few options. The first thing that's worth calling out is I'm going to go ahead and update. The first thing that I'll call out is there are a ton of extras that aren't baked into LazyVim by default, but you can go in and you can turn them on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I found the Flash thing actually in one of those.
Yeah, this lazy extras. So you can add Copilot. You can add. I can show you Arial. Arial's pretty cool. I use Leap instead of. You were talking about what was the S? What do you use to jump around? Maybe it's not Leap.
Flash.
Flash. So
Yeah.
Flash does something similar to what Leap does. Yeah. And then like there's language support. So I know you're a Go dev, so you can just turn on lang.go and it mostly gets you started with everything you'd need for Go development. Tailwind, TypeScript, ESLint is really great. So ESLint can come built in. And then there's some smaller stuff like high patterns will highlight your hex codes and show the color. Like render the color for you.
Okay, so I see.
I know modern IDEs mostly do that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
And then there's some of these that I didn't enable, but they're here. We're joking about C#. I think that might actually be down here somewhere.
Yeah. We've done that for
languages, yeah, and then UI. Edgy is a really popular one that fits your windows. It like puts your windows in a certain place every time. So it's like consistent.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. What else? They're kind of all over the place. They do have a VS Code extension where they've sort of configured it to work well. You can embed NeoVim in VS Code.
I see.
But I didn't turn that on.
Nice.
And yeah, so these are just a handful of things. The other place that you can, the old way of doing it is in the lazy Lua file, you can explicitly put them here, which is how I originally did it because lazy extras is a new thing.
Gotcha.
That got added later.
Nice.
Have you used a lot of the leader key stuff yet?
Yeah.
Did you have a lot built in before you switched to LazyVim?
Yeah. Previously, I mapped my leader key to comma.
Yeah.
And then so it's easier, but like I think by default this is like space.
Yeah.
So it's
that one can be overwritten pretty easily.
Yeah. It's not that much switch. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one can be done easily, but like, how are you feeling about whatever you mapped leader whatever to? That it's all changed now. Are you trying to adjust and learn everything that LazyVim did?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
So I did I was like fully customized environment previously. So I did something by myself. I had to remember that like my old system, but with this makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are using this like the same key binding, so I guess I can get used to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we talked a lot last week about this. You can actually say default key maps false under the LazyVim itself. This is like this is like the LazyVim like the whole distro here.
Okay.
And so you can set key maps to false, and so that means the majority of the items that are here by default are not there at all. So that means you have to go back and add what you want.
Okay.
But it's a lot less control, or it's a lot more control. Which I like.
And previously sometimes I have like conflicts with like some keys. So with this,
right.
I don't need to worry about that. So
yeah, there will be less conflicts. You will run into the issue of conflicts if you set your own and LazyVim set them already.
Yeah,
that's where it becomes quite a bit of a headache.
So, that's basically the first one I was talking about, like the letter S.
Yeah.
And the flash.vim thing. Yeah. I use as pretty frequently, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. It looks like more people are joining. We're at 35 right now. That's pretty good. We're talking about LazyVim. We're going to do some configurations here in the next minute or two, but ask your questions if you have questions about LazyVim, how to configure it. I think we're going to start with Dave's specific things that he's brought up since he's here with me. And I have huge. I'll start talking about all this. This is me. This is all the stuff that I've done to customize LazyVim over the last year.
Wow.
So there's a lot of things here. We can talk about as many of them as you want, but I think what will help the most is probably file navigation.
Yeah.
And so we can start there. The other thing is I like Capuchin. So that's the color scheme.
Yeah.
And the whole transparent look here, like everything's transparent. We can see the background image on my editor. And so that, there are lots of different pop-ups. Mason is another. And like I have all of them are transparent. So that was a little bit of effort. And then I
think Mason is now built in.
Mason is a built-in tool, yeah. And Andres was pulling it out. Oil.nvim is one of a lot of people's favorites. And the way that this one looks is plugins is it creates like a buffer, and you can actually create like additional, looks like you can duplicate and go like octo custom, and it'll say, hey, I'm going to copy that file and make it a new file. And you can go, okay. And so that's one way of creating, like navigating the file system. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And then there's also like init, you like climb the folder system, right? So you can like go back and forward and stuff. Yeah. I was experimenting with one in my other config, which I need to get rid of that. I need to dir and allow. And this one is called Mini. And so this one works slightly differently, where it kind of gives you these nested mini windows.
Oh, I see.
Up here.
So this is this is oil.
This is mini, and this one is oil. So oil like creates a buffer. It's like a brand new buffer, and you can create new files and delete files and do things like that. This one's called Mini, and so this one it just looks slightly different, but it works similarly. Where I can say like new file .lua, right? But this one you have to write the buffer. How do you do it? I forget how you do this one. I haven't been using it very much. My muscle memory is broken, only because I haven't used it very much. But it's a good alternative if you like this style.
Okay.
And then the one I use the most, I actually use this one more than oil. I have a NeoVim pop-up, and this is a tool called LF. And so it uses HJKL. You can jump around. And I do a lot of things like if I hit %, I can like touch a file.
Oh, that's basically the command.
And so, yeah, and then you can like search. So there's file, and I could run just basic commands. So this one I like a lot. It's a little bit, let's reset it. This is my default because I have a big monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, let's see, is it really that small? And so this is a pretty reasonably sized thing where I'm able to navigate my file system like that.
Nice.
So there's lots of options. There are other tools out there like this one's called Yazy, and it's a more modern version.
Wow.
And it has image rendering, which I don't know if image rendering works inside of NeoVim, but it does work outside. It's not very big, but if anyone can tell, there's an image being rendered right here. So that's the one I've played around with some. And then I really like Brute, but I don't use this one as often. So like plugins, you can incline. And so it works as like you choose the thing you want by search and then you continue. But I don't have a lot of default set up very well with this one.
So did you set up your configurations? Like I see that you type the name of the plugin and you just bring up that configuration. Did you set that up?
I'm just being quick.
Oh, okay.
I'm just typing really quickly and getting around. But did any of these stand out to you? Of like, you would prefer that, or do you like NeoTree? Which I guess some people like NeoTree. I mean, it's here. I have it.
The reason I like it is like I don't need to remember all those keys and stuff. Just like question mark, it'll give you other options.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. This one has this built in.
Yeah, so it's a little bit slower than like remembering everything, but like you don't have to remember everything.
I'm pretty sure mouse mode works too.
Yes, yeah, that works.
Well, that makes sense. Well, do you need to change anything about NeoTree?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's built. I mean the size, the window size, and stuff like that.
Right.
What else? I think that's pretty much it. And I'm trying to figure out like how to do the locator. Like this file, how to do the locator on the side.
So let's just take a quick look at this. This is trouble. So you can pull up LSP stuff. This one is NeoTree. Of course, we know that one. And then I think there's a NeoTree Git. What is it? NeoTree.
Oh, it's
buffers. Here's buffers.
GE.
So this one can show buffers.
BE, yeah, BEGE or something.
But let me show you what Edgy does. So this is the one I was talking about, one of the extras. Some people like it, some people don't. We'll let it install. Get it all set up. And so the way that this one works is it kind of gives you these like toggleable elements. Oh, why did that happen? That you can jump between. And you see now this one, these are all fixed, like pre-opened.
Oh, I see.
And then this trouble one is sort of at a fixed size. And then let's open up Arial. I like Arial. Arial shows symbols, although this file isn't very useful for that. So do I have a better file for this?
This is more like JetBrain, that kind of drag and drop, different like floating window. And
so this one just works differently. I mean, it's mouse compatible and stuff like that. But the only thing about this one is you can't really resize Edgy unless I'm not, and anyone else here knows Edgy better than I do. Let me know, but it's pretty fixed. So like I want to like close trouble, then it just kind of goes away. And when I open it, it just kind of always is the size.
Okay.
And so some people like this. I found it felt a little restricting. So I haven't been using Edgy very much, but Folky made this, the same guy that maintains lazy.invim and who made LazyVim. He's the author of this plugin as well. So you might like Edgy. it kind of snaps all this in place.
Let me take notes. Do that.
And the way that you would enable it is lazy extras. No, not lazy health. Lazy extras. You can go here and it'll say the X key. So you can say like, I don't want, if I don't want edgy, I hit X. Although this one will say that it needs to not be in my config. So that I have to migrate. I have to migrate over to this, which maybe I'll do. It's fairly straightforward. But yeah.
So far, so good.
Let's see if anyone else has. I don't think anyone has big questions.
New tree.
Yeah, Steve, try out Lazy. You might like it. This is all it looks like for me. So I have it bound to leader FF. Something worth noting here is you can add the descriptions in the keys section. So if people are using this tool, you can see F is for files, and then we'll see toggle Lazy. So
which key?
Which key can automatically read that, which it's now not really very visible to the people that are at home. But we can see here, yeah, toggle Lazy's here. So a lot of people kind of go out of their way doing some extra stuff here that's not really needed. The first argument is the mapping. The second argument is the command. And the third argument is the description. So you can put desk here, and this key on this table will give you the appropriate output here. Yeah. And this one's like 6 lines of code. We're speaking of, I don't show line numbers, so that was something I turned off. But yeah, pretty simple.
Do you use like the jump like multiple lines a lot? I've used to like use that, and now I just never use that. Like if you want to jump to line 4, do you do like 6 whatever?
I use leap a lot, so I would do just capital F in and then jump to it.
Okay, yeah.
So you know, which of these cursors do I want? I want that result. So I use something called leap. I know Flash.
It's very
similar.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, how does Flash work? Should I swap it out?
Yeah, let's try it.
So let's go to lazy. I don't ever show this. How do I like get rid of it? I don't even know. This is what I don't like about this. I'm like, how do I get rid of this? Oh, there we go. They're all gone. Okay, so edgy. No, I don't like edgy personally. Leap. So there's one called Flash, right?
Flash, yeah.
And it's the default.
Yeah.
So it comes, we can ignore all those issues. So Flash works the same way, right? So you want to like find V.
Just like that.
But how do I know which one I want?
You keep typing. It could be IM. It's gonna give you a similar thing. Like keep typing.
What do I type?
Just VIM. Oh, I mean, if you want to search globally, just.
Oh, you have to use S.
S, yes.
So that's what's throwing me off. Yeah, I'm used to using F.
Yeah, S or just like that.
Got it.
And you can search like forward or backward only, just like that too. But forward is like everything, like not just in that line. What else?
Interesting. So F is different. Oh, F is just old school F. Okay.
But like search everything down.
I like that. Yeah. I might make the switch.
Yeah.
All right, chat. Tell me, would you guys prefer Flash or Leap? And do I need to make a comparison video? Should I make a video comparing the two? I think there's even a third one that does something similar. I liked the one, I used to use one that would show all the lines.
All the lines.
Like all the lines would just immediately give you the buffer of like, which line do you want to pick? Kind of like this, rather than being specific to V. It would just be like here are all of the potential lines you can hit. And rather than being a number, it would just be a set of letters.
Oh, I see.
I see. But I haven't touched that one in a while. My muscle memory, I'm going to have to change my muscle memory, though, because I'm used to hitting F. But S is...
S, but you can also do just normal
case
search.
Sensitive too.
You can just do normal search too. And this search, this search is across all windows. So if you have the new tree open,
oh nice,
you can jump.
So
there too.
we could have a different file open.
Yeah.
And if I were to
SD,
oh, that's cool.
It's cross.
Look at that. You're teaching me today. Look at that.
Flash is teaching me.
And look, we got yay.
Oh.
Yeah. And we could do this too. Let's see if it works.
Oh,
isn't that fun?
Nice.
It's a little confetti. No, I like it. I think I'll take it. I think folk also made Flash. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Like I remember that's the name. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's more of him.
Yeah.
So I'll have to spend a little bit more time with this. But like these are enhanced motions.
Yeah, it's
so
not.
So I don't really know
line.
exactly what's different about it.
Because the built-in one is just like find the line, inline. This is like find the rest.
Oh, tree search. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we can have the tree open.
Anyway,
so it should be space like leader key E. Oh, neo tree.
That's neo tree.
Yeah, space E. No. Okay.
That's fine. How about we talk about something I really like, and then I want you to set up now.
Okay.
So this is something I recommend everybody do, and I usually just go to Dave's house like every couple of months, like once a month or so, and I'll be like, do this, like set this up, and you'll be good. And so I think they'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Why don't we pull up your Vim fresh? Do you use the welcome screen very much?
I use it for the configuration and like the update and stuff like that. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
So you do update from there sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Do lazy.
So what I do is I disabled the feature entirely.
Ooh.
So I don't have alpha or whatever startup or any of the plugins. Okay. What I do is I have Command P.
Command P,
which the VS Code people know. Yeah. So Command P is files.
Yeah.
When I'm in the terminal, so we're here. If I hit Command P, it automatically opens Vim and automatically starts Telescope. And something we can work on today is not only does it start up Telescope, but Telescope is only searching the files in the folder that I chose.
Okay.
That I was in, because I use sesh. So I'm in a specific folder, only show me those files.
Gotcha.
And then it sorts them by most recent use. So whatever, we literally just touched lazy. It's the very first option. So like 80% of the time, I'm just choosing the first or second file anyway. It gets smarter because if I want to do incline, the thing I was just doing, in will always start this quickly. Because it was the last file I touched. So if I do literally just so not only that, it's like making it so that when you do fuzzy searching, it's even simpler. And this one just happens to be styled where the file is shown here, and then the folder is kind of on the other side, which is like VS Code. VS Code does this too. If
you enter, like, does it open just that file?
It just goes to that file. Yeah, some people have custom mappings where they like. You can do all sorts of things. You move selections, move to the top, preview scrolling. That kind of stuff is helpful, like K. Right. You can like move around. I don't use mappings like that very much. I just Command P, open the file I want.
Gotcha.
Right. And so a lot of muscle memory is just within just one or two characters, maybe 3 or 4 characters. I always get to what I want every time. Nice. And there's no mental effort. I'm not thinking, is this the right file? Did I type enough characters? It's like I've figured out how to shrink down the amount of things I have to type.
Gotcha.
So we can, let's go ahead and try to get you set up on some of this. I'll show you the pieces that it takes to make Telescope better.
Perfect.
And then the whole Command P thing, if you want to add that, it's not too hard. There's just a couple of steps.
Okay. Let's do whatever you.
All right. So do you have any files configured right now?
What do you mean?
So in your LazyVim project, you've got
some
Lua plugins, and then you have to put files here.
Oh, I don't have any of those.
Yeah. So let's get you set up there. So basically,
config.
do you have dot files? There you go.
Here.
And so the main thing is Lua plugins. Yeah, and you have an example.
That's built-in.
So now you can add a file.
Okay. So
call it telescope.lua.
Telescope.lua. Done.
And the way that this works is you basically create a return statement.
Yeah.
And you call the plugin, which you might as well pull up Telescope if you want. And so I have a lot going on here. I can tell you the pieces that make this work for me.
Scope.
Yeah. Scope. I'm pretty sure all we're going to do is all recent. It's either all recent. Yes. Frequency sorting for all telescope pickers. So this is really cool. It works like buffers are sorted by most recent. Let's go to Harpoon. Harpoon's now the first one. Incline. Now it's incline Harpoon telescope. So it's always sorting every buffer that telescope has with this. And so this one, I'm trying to figure out the best way to send that to you.
Got it.
We got a question. What's the easiest way to open a file in a totally different directory in the same buffer? If you know where it is, the easiest way is the E command. So just E the thing. So we can go to .config. You can get autocomplete. Ooh, that's not going to be right. E config tmux, right? tmux.conf. Boom. So that I like the E command. Sometimes you know what file you want and where it is. If you want to know about speed and doing things very, very well and quickly and efficiently and all of that, because that's what my whole channel's about, I use sesh. So I almost always end up asking to switch to that project and create a new session on the fly. So let's go to tmux. And so, oh, that's not it. So tmux would be this guy. And then I have it so that anytime I create a new session, the file picker automatically opens. And then the last file I touched was tmux.conf. So boom. And these things work very, very well within the session that you're in. So like for me, when I switch sessions, these are all my Lua file, like all my NeoVim files under dot files. So it's just like, you just use the same pattern and the muscle memory picks it up really quickly. But I'm gonna show you Smart Open is the other piece here. Andres was wondering or was mentioning find files. Smart Open. Well, they were claiming it's in a totally different directory. So that was sort of the hard part of that question, Andres. So this is the one that I use this is the secondary part. So you putting these two together make it really, really easy.
What's this one?
It's called Smart Open.
Smart Open.
And so we'll add both of these.
Okay.
And so the way that you customize LazyVim is there's multiple points of entry. You can actually call the same plugin again and again and again. You can call this as many times as you want. But at some point, sometimes you'll overlap your own configuration and you can sometimes cause problems. And so that's why I prefer having one big giant telescope config file. where I sort of overrode telescope.
Oh, I see.
And so
Smart Open will improve over time. Okay.
yeah.
I see.
But just as a reminder to everybody, the way that telescope typically works is there are multiple ways in which you can go about finding files. So we have get files, find files, old files. Get files, pretty obvious, right? It's just all the files in the Git repository that can be detected. Find files will look at when you open NeoVim, NeoVim registers the directory that you opened it from. And some people have really clever like plugins, which I don't do this, but some people have plugins where it's like it will automatically switch the root of the NeoVim instance to the root of the Git project. Some people like doing it that way, like they prefer that style, so that when I go to find files, it's always all of the project. But what I do is for like my day job is I use something called work trees. So I have multiple copies of the entire project in different folders, which is kind of different. So this is, these are like the active branches, basically. Like the main branch, there's an ESLint branch, there's a node branch, there's a NX experimental branch. So these are all different branches.
I see.
And they're all their own file system. So you can just switch to that folder if you want a different project, rather than stashing and then switching branches. This is easier for me. But I only do this in my day job. It's not really necessary overhead for like dot files or my personal website. Because there's lots of small projects that it's like that. I don't need all of that. But it is very useful. And LazyGit knows what work trees are. So these are work trees. It's like a built-in feature to LazyGit.
Oh,
LazyGit knows how to do it. And I have it bound to S. So if I hit S, it will create a tmux session based off of that work tree, which is really nice. So I can just hit S and boom.
From LazyGit.
From LazyGit.
Oh, wow.
It's just a mapping.
Never used the
So
work tree
connect
feature.
to session. I'm using sesh. And I just say, hey, create a session based off of the work tree that
So you created this?
No. This is just this one line here, connect to session, is just a configuration option that I added.
Nice.
And for those that want it, dot files, LazyGit, sesh. It just looks like this, custom commands under the worktree context, sesh connect. And if you give it a path, sesh detects that it's a path and creates a session on your behalf based off of that path.
Gotcha.
So that was really helpful. But again, this stuff isn't really LazyVim or NeoVim. This is just a culmination of how it all comes together. So we got a lot going on here. We'll just close these out. So I sent you a link to that.
I did the copy.
You don't have to copy and paste. You could prune out some of this if you wanted. I would say
Smart Open, keep that.
You want smart open.mvim and you want the all recent.
All recent.
But like if you want to prune this, harpoon, telescope import, ZF native is something I like. ZF native is it uses it prefers file names over folder paths in its matching. So it's like a fuzzy algorithm alternative.
Fuzzy focus on the file name.
Yeah, so if I were to turn it off, I could maybe do some minor experiments to show you how they differ. But like if I hit G, you see how plugins, there's a G in plugins, like why would it decide plugins? Like it could just pick the first thing in plugins that makes sense.
Gotcha.
But instead it goes, oh, there's a file with a G in the front of it. And so that is what I think you want. So it just gets slightly better results.
Nice.
Okay. Tailscope, the undo one it has to do with an undo tree. I don't use it too much. Tailscope is like tailwind. stuff in Telescope, which I don't use this one very much actually.
Okay.
And then NeoClip is like a yanking tooling, which I don't use the Telescope plugin very much, but it is kind of a cool tool.
Okay.
Same with package info. This one is not something that I think would affect you right now.
Okay. Because I want to start with as small as possible.
Yeah, and I actually think I'm going to call this line of code out here.
That's the key part.
Branch. Well, let's go back a step. This is one file called telescope.lua, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you call the files. So for those that are wondering, this is in the plugins directory. So I typically just name these based off of the plugin. And I dash separate them so that I'm not dealing with camel casing or anything weird. I just stay consistent on my side here.
Mm-hmm.
And then what LazyVim wants you to do is it wants you to return a table. So we call them objects in JavaScript.
Okay.
We call them tables in Lua. It's the same idea, but that's what this is. And so the first item in the table is always going to be the plugin. And this is the repo owner. This is the owner. And then this is the path to the repo. I actually have, I think you might have it too. I have a forked TMX plugin where if I hit Command O, it can actually detect this pattern.
Oh, you showed me before.
And so now I can say like telescope. And so if I pick NVim telescope.NVim, I can open up my browser. So this is really, really useful. This is just bound to Command O. I have a whole video on how I can use command keys in the terminal. And so it's like prefix capital O. No, that's not it. Prefix, maybe, I don't even remember. I don't use the prefix key as a TMX user. But that's sort of the idea of getting into it. So let's go to all recent. I think there's a better way to write this. So I think it's worth it to show off how this works. I did this poorly. I would actually recommend that we do it this way. So SQLite doesn't need to be there, doesn't need to be there. We can actually nest these. And let me make sure I get the syntax right. Well, it doesn't want to format. Or do I have something off? Anyway, the idea is you can nest tables inside tables. I'm actually going to screw that up. Interesting. Okay, so I've just botched this, and we can take a few minutes to figure out why this is botched. Does anyone else see it? Dependencies, dependency. It looks fine. Oh, maybe there's an extra, maybe I lost a curly brace that it needed. Oh, I have two of these. I probably need this to go away. There we go. I had duplicated it. Anyway, so you can nest these. We can say that telescope, is this specific thing that I'm dealing with. Dependencies is all of the items that depend on it, pretty obvious. And then you can repeat the pattern. So you can say that this guy is this plugin, which has been depended by this plugin. And then this one has its own plugins. And so you can see here that there's a bit of a redundancy here.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it this way. In fact, it's a little bit odd to do it this way. And we'll need to make sure that I wonder if all of this is valid. This is a good little refactor. And so they talk about like, hey, this is, I think this one, all recent, doesn't need to be called here because it's always triggered and compiles when it's run. So this one we can kind of leave as it is. We can, of course, remove maybe we keep this both. I don't think it's going to break anything. Yeah. But you can see here that I have this sort of nested dependency. And so that's fine. You can do that. We can actually move this one up here because these are sort of the two that you care about today. So the other one is Smart Open, and they're going to offer a similar sort of configuration. And so here the config option says that we're going to load the extension. And so we'll do the same thing here. We'll just sort of repeat this. And we'll add the comma. And so, again, pretty obvious. This does what it does. Some people aren't aware that sometimes you have to put options here as an empty table. And what it will do is it will initialize the plugin. And so behind the scenes, lazy.nvim is going to go, okay, telescope, all recent, setup, and this is options. And so think of this as like ops. And it's fine that it's empty. We don't need to overload any additional setup. But all this code that we're seeing here is automatically done just by calling ops. If you don't call it, it won't get triggered. And so you in some cases you have to actually state ops. You can't just do this. Now it just exists, but it's not actually being set up because you're not firing the setup by doing this.
That's very tricky.
And so it's important. It's important that you do make sure that's included.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so that's step one. Step two is Smart Open. And so Smart Open is an extension. This one sort of overrides all of Telescope's behavior. And so that's why it's really simple. And it uses SQLite. For those that ever want to know, if we go to local share NeoVim, where is it? No. Oh, I just lost it. Let's go LF. All right, so we go local share. It's either share or state. I bet this one's in state. State NeoVim lazy. Sometimes it's here. Do we have any? It's not in state. It's probably in share. NeoVim. And so now we have all recent.SQLite. And so for those that are ever curious, hey, where are these files? What's going on? The .local share NeoVim will hold lots of things, including SQLite files that get generated. So the Smart Open is what we're also going to use. And Smart Open also is like keeping track of what you've opened, how recently, and it does a good job trying to sort and weight it. Yeah. And so this is really good to know. Mason, we talked about Mason. LSPs, they're all in here. Packages, registries, right? The Mason registry is stored as a JSON file on file, like on disk. Lazy is where all of the plugins get installed to. So if we look at Telescope, all recent, it gets downloaded via Git and just gets cloned to your disk space under share NeoVim lazy. So this is where everything lives. So if you ever are like, what's going on? How do I contribute? How do I update this, or how do I mess with this? You would want to go into this part of the system. Keep in mind that you can nuke this. In fact, some people are like, hey, what's going on with the LazyVim instructions? So it'll actually tell you here to take these and create backups. And so the reason that they tell you to do this is because if your config was set up a certain way, it downloaded all of these source code.
Overwrites everything.
And it would all go away if you were to run some of these commands without first backing it up.
This is very helpful.
What is incredibly impressive and fun about a recent addition to how Vim works, let's just go to config. So you can actually, in your .config directory, you can have other folders, like in this case, jam NeoVim, This is
A link.
this is a custom. This is just a symbolic link for dot file purposes, so I can sync them.
Oh, I see.
This is a custom. This init Lua is something that I wrote.
Oh, I see.
This is Josh's custom distro that doesn't touch LazyVim. It's just Josh.
Got it.
And so the way that you can use it is you can say that you can export a NeoVim app name and call it the same name as the file. And so what I'm doing is, where is it? In NVRC. I'm exporting it here. And so what would happen is if I want to NeoVim, it uses that value and it gives me a totally different
config. Yeah.
Config.
Gotcha.
And all of the files that we were talking about just a minute ago, I guess we need to go back here, right? Basically, all of the files are under share, but instead of being in Vim, they're under. You can see how many I have. I have AVim for AstroVim. I have FireVim for a specific thing. I have Kickstart, Kickstart.invim, which is a really popular project. And then my jam. And then we were joking and playing around last week with Medeski Vim. And so like these are all totally different configured versions of Vim. And I'll shout out Elijah Miner. He's a YouTuber like me. He created a little bash script that like Fuzzy Finder pops up and it lets you pick which editor you want. And then the editor, that fuzzy script just picks the, app in Vim app name variable gets overwritten, and then it opens up that version of Vim. So very cool. I don't tend, this is like tinkering. So on the weekends or whatever, I'll specifically open up jam in Vim, and then I'll use the this is called dir-env. It when I open up this folder, it reads that env file that we just looked at, this env.rc file. It loads it automatically, and so when I open up NVim in this place, it automatically is doing it only in the NVim directory, this jam NVim. So it's like that's how I'm doing it. It's a little bit clever, but you can see here that the dir-env is automatically loading this file, and this file is automatically exporting this. And so if I export, not export, if I echo, in Vim app name, we'll see that it's that. And then if I were to go out and do it somewhere else, we'll see that that value is not set. And when that value is not set, Vim will automatically pick the in-Vim directory. It's like the default. So it's super helpful if you're like, I want to try AstroVim and LunarVim and Medeski Vim and Kickstart NVim. Like if I want to try all of them at once, you can with this app name variable. Very, very cool. Just remember that like you're going to fill up your hard drive space if you make a bunch of these, because you're going to end up with copies. It's not smart enough to go, you have the telescope directory and they have the it's like, no, they're just cloned twice.
Gotcha.
But it is interesting that you're able to do that, especially if you're transitioning, which is what I recommend. Yeah,
I think I saw a similar setup just like that. Instead of like doing the load thing, they do binding, like alias. And they
people do aliases.
App name equals
and whatever. App name has the value. That's smart. No, I like it. Ryan, I appreciate you. Go steal all my dot files. That's why they're public. I'm always flattered when people end up having setups that look a lot like mine. I'm like, that's fine. Like I spend a lot of time doing this. I do have a course on my website for people that want to just do what I'm doing. There's this little free guide. It's free. There's 8 steps. These are 8 projects. And I actually, in the LazyVim video or article, I call out Elijah. This is Elijah. Nice. So he's got some other good LazyVim videos. But yeah, if you want to take what I'm doing, this is a good foundation.
Very awesome.
I think Andres was asking, Smart Open as a telescope dependency. Smart open, yes. Yep, so that's what this one is. It's a dependency under telescope. You could just have smart open be its own thing, which I think there was a smart open here, but this was my plugin.
Okay.
This is a plugin that I had developed that I ended up replacing for the combination of these two. Make it so good. It makes telescope way better, in my opinion. You know, because you're like, I want to open a file. Okay, here are all the files you've last used, sorted.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, by most recent use. And the way it formats it is kind of fun and different, right? Where it puts the files, the folder path after. So you do need all this. The dependency is the same. I personally prefer it to be consistent, so I usually put dependency before config, but it's a minor thing. And then it doesn't really matter what order you put these in. Branch is a way that you can lock the version in so that it doesn't update preemptively, to a new version before you opt into it. So this is a nice way of opting in. Again, there's like a build command, so you can have certain dependencies run a build after they install. So that will be, okay, it's going to install SCF native, and then it's going to make
it compile.
But I don't want to use FCF native as my algorithm because I like CF, which we were talking about earlier. And so you can just, this is just a dependency that lives. And this is a global dependency, so it just sort of, it's just always, it is something you have to load, which there's more than one way to do this. You can see that here I'm doing a config on this dependency. In my case, I also can just make these dependencies, and then in the global telescope config, I can just load extensions. It's kind of up to you, like whatever it is you want to do.
So you have to have this load extension here in the configuration.
Somewhere you have to call it correctly, especially if the plugin tells you you have to do it this way.
Okay.
Right. So it's like.
So even if you have the dependencies up there, you still have to.
You still have to load the extensions. The way that these work, let's just like go like telescope. Notify. Telescope. Notify. This works because the extension was loaded when LazyVim started.
Gotcha.
And so this one's great. This one's for every time you see those little pop-ups.
Yeah.
And you're like, what were those? I want to know what those were. You can go back and see them. And then NeoClip.
Need to write that down too.
NeoClip will show you what you've yanked. This creates a directory of your past yanks, separate from like OS clipboard history.
Gotcha.
So if you want those to live on their own,
I see.
NeoClip is kind of a cool thing. And so, yeah, there's lots of cool extensions out there. What I tell most people is just go to the telescope and then just go to their website, go to the extensions wiki, and just spend an afternoon or a Saturday, just go through these and figure out which ones sound interesting. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And this is what ultimately led me away from developing. I actually did some live streams with a buddy, Steve. I think Steve was here earlier. Steve, are you still here? No, not Steve. Steve and me talked about something else. Me and Andrew. I don't think Andrew's here today, but me and Andrew did some live telescope extension development, and we learned kind of the base patterns. But I ended up abandoning that project. It was like early alpha, and it didn't go anywhere. So yeah, I mean, this guy could. I guess we need to delete this one. It's a duplicate. So you have ideas of you can nest things like this, and this one is being called after smart open is triggered. And then the other way around is you just have it as a dependency, and when telescope is initialized, you could load the extension. So thankfully, LazyVim is like pretty flexible. People run into bugs all the time, and when you run into bugs, typically you've configured something not the way that lazy NVim expected you to. So just be mindful of that. And then something I'll call out, which I do recommend, is I really like prompt position topped. I much prefer this. It's up here.
Okay.
Within your line of sight. And that is just a generic telescope option defaults layout config. And you can actually see I've
okay.
increased it a little bit. And
Nice.
there's this preview width for horizontal. So if it's at a certain point, it will decide when to cut off the preview. Same with like display path. This path display gets kind of smart, and it'll like truncate things when it wants to. So there's all sorts of there's all sorts of things you can change. Same with like the prefix. I prefer the little telescope.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the default is, but it's they're just little things you can overwrite globally. And then for me, I've like changed.
That's a lot of work.
These. So like the height and width of commands is slightly different.
Yeah.
Get files. I don't use get files much anymore. Live grep I use a lot of, so it shows me this little thing, and I have it bound to Command F. So I hit Command F, and it greps the whole project. Whatever folder I'm in, it'll just search the whole thing.
I need to do that.
Yeah. And then like certain extensions, you can override options this way, bringing it from extensions. This is off of the telescope config options. So in here you can nest extension options rather than they're not actually called up here. The configuration options aren't called up in the plugins config. The plugin just loads the extension, and then for telescope in particular, you can overload or add config options by going through this extensions table. It's slightly different.
Gotcha.
But it is what it is. And then I have some keys here. So you can see here I have this leader asterisk will find word. So when I'm hovered over telescope, I can do space asterisk. And now it searches everywhere that telescope shows up.
Gotcha. Oh, nice.
So kind of nice.
Like the go-to, like the.
It's kind of like go-to, but go give me all the results in telescope of the things that I want. The thing that I haven't done yet that I need to do, is, oh, that's not right. To do add mapping for previous telescope window. It is built in somewhere where you can just say, hey, pull up the last telescope thing I did. So like when we were doing the noise one, instead of having to get to it again manually, I can just say, hey, pull it up again because I just was using it. Same with like the search. It's like if I had just searched telescope, right? And I went to the result, rather than attempting to do it again, I can say, hey, go do what you just did again with telescope. But I don't have that set up. It's just been.
I think LazyVim has something like that built in.
Okay. I may have overridden the default. I actually turned the defaults off last week.
I think it's SS. No.
I'm sure it's somewhere, but I like writing my own mappings for the most part. I don't know. How do you guys think chat's here with us? Do you guys like using the distro's mappings, or do you like disabling that feature and adding your own? I'm more the latter lately. I just want to know what my bindings are, and a lot of them are more simple. I don't need I literally Command P for like almost everything, and for everything else I usually Command F for grepping. So like having 8 bindings for telescope windows, I just I don't care. I don't want them. I don't use them. So yeah. I think a lot of people that have been with me on the Discord server have been talking about wanting to do it themselves.
I mean, I'm more of the other way, mainly because I haven't get familiar with my my own bindings. So sometimes I forget about my own bindings.
Right.
So
I get that, and most of them are sane, like they're reasonable defaults. So I totally get that. you don't have to invent your own mappings and then
Right.
learn them.
Yeah.
Like just learn what someone else picked for you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel
now.
like it's the NeoVim way. But Andres is from scratch. Yeah.
That's awesome. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and then Shivam, also, yeah, you have your own from scratch. And so, again, not a big deal. It is what it is. But like, you guys all fall in this bottom category of like, you don't get any batteries included features. LSPs aren't figured out for you. Telescope's not figured out for you. Like everything you want to add, you have to add yourself. DAP is a big one that I was really grateful for LazyVim, the debugging protocol. Not that I'm great at it yet, but having the debugger protocol.
I haven't done that, but that's something I really want to do on NeoVim.
I kind of want to get on stream, and so I have like, I don't even think I have it set up anymore. So I disabled all the default mappings. So I don't have DAP bound to key bindings right now. I'll probably turn it back on, to be honest. But they have done a lot of the hard work in figuring it out, which is good, which is really good.
Previously, when I did like Go debugging, it's just a lot of like key bindings to remember. So I think which key saves a lot of like cells.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, as you learn, you use this. But I personally,
you already remember.
I've spent so many years doing this now that that's why a lot of us like our own mappings, because they're not something we just came up with. It's something we've been using, and then last year LazyVim showed up, and it's like, oh, but all the mappings aren't my mappings.
I think the distro is like a very beginner friendly.
Yeah, and that's what distros are meant to be.
Yeah,
to be honest.
When I first started doing my own configuration and stuff, it could be pretty overwhelming. Like you just remember this telescope thing, and the next you remember a whole different set of things. Sometimes you just have conflicts, key conflicts and stuff like that. And with the distro, it's just like, okay, I'll learn this today and learn the next thing the next day. That's it.
Well, Andres is pulling up that same point. Is that it's like you don't even use DAP because it was such a high threshold of like difficulty getting working. So I'm still not good at it, but I like when I can use a debugger because you're way more efficient. And we love being efficient as NeoVim users, right? Right, everybody? Are we in agreement? That's why we're here, is to be efficient. And so the debugger is like on my wish list of being better at.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like I still use sometimes like JetBrains.
Yeah.
Mainly because the debugging stuff, debugging and testing, those two.
So what I can speak to on testing is this is my Neo test. I'm going to go ahead and be nice and be better at giving chat these as well. So Neo test is really good for like new main model. This is like bot run. Here's unit tests. So I can just trigger a unit test inline and it runs. And if this were to equal expect true to be false, right? It will fail, and it will tell me inline expected true to be false, and it will tell me that line 8 is what failed, and so it'll jump me if there's lots of tests, right? And one fails, it'll jump you to this.
Nice.
And then you can fix it true. And so I have space T, and I have A, D, L, O. Like these are all my mappings. You can see the summary. So this is all of the tests in this project. You can see the summary of the tests. So this is what ran, this is what passed for this long. It actually writes reports as well if you want to dig into it more. And then like you can do attached.
Attached like process?
Attached to the nearest test. But that's the thing I'm trying to get better at. But this is called Neo test. It's really great. This is only a few lines.
Yeah, definitely look into that.
And you'll see here that this is adapters. So this is something that I had to do to get Neo test working correctly. This one's called Vite test. And so this is the the Vite test, apologies, Vite test is the jest alternative using Vite. Are you familiar with Vite?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a JavaScript runtime tooler. It's like a bundler.
No.
Anyway, yeah, so that's fine. So Vite is just a more modern thing. So you have to have an adapter for that test.
Oh, I see.
So you can imagine like Go.
Yeah.
We have, let's see, we have sesh, and we got test, and we can, I don't think I have NeoTest set up. Do I have?
Oh, Sims is working. Sims loading.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I have it working here.
That's awesome.
And here's all my tests, right? So this is a great one if you just want to be really good at being efficient and getting a lot done inside of NeoVim. Nice. So these are just the ones I set. And see, all I did is call them on keys and leader thing, command require NeoTest run attach. This is what they offer.
Okay.
Every plugin's a little bit different. In this case, we're executing the Lua module, and we're calling the functions that they've defined off of the module by hand here. So all of the clever stuff where you see like NeoTest is just kind of like this being assigned to a command via the Lua configuration under the hood, like in the module's code. And you'll see for me, the four that matter to me the most, which this one I'm not using really anymore. These are the three I use. I just put them on the top of the lazy Lua. This is the lazy Lua file. I'm just defining my own commands. These are mine.
Oh, I see.
And so when I type go to command, it just executes telescope commands.
Okay.
And then the tricky part, and what people might be wondering, we didn't talk about it yet, is the fish. Basically, go to.
You have that.
I have abbreviations. This is really clever. I'm going to make a YouTube video on this someday, maybe. The abbreviation in fish is colon, go to command. So same here, colon, go to file. These are the kind of the three. This one I'm not really using anymore. Grep, in Vim grep. And so these three will run
that instead.
This instead. And the reason that what this plus means is it says open in Vim with this command. So you can put any command here you want. You could actually say telescope. But I don't remember the exact syntax for like files. I don't think this is valid. So I have it wrapped around this.
Got it. Yeah, I've used that syntax for a plug installed before.
yeah. And so it works super well. And so, but then you're wondering, okay, Josh, if I hit Command P, we'll see that it ran this thing off of the alias or off the abbreviation. And then Wes term, this is how it all comes together. You do this once, it takes like 5 minutes, and then you're done. So the key mapping is when I hit Command P, then type colon GOTOFILE, and I think it actually runs enter. Oh, because my multiple actions, it's an abstraction. It adds enter.
Oh, I see.
So it's just cleaner when I say, hey, multiple actions. It means that I want to type out all of these characters and hit enter at the end, versus command to tmix preference. This one is, hey, do Control B and then hit the key that I give it as a second argument. And so that's nice. Like.
Where did you define that multiple actions?
This is just in a config file in my WesTerm project. So this is the WesTerm utils, and I have one called keys.
Oh, I see.
And so I just say, hey, insert this table and do this action, send key, and we're going to send every one of the keys that show up in this keys match is matching every key. So it's like splitting this into a table and then executing each one, and then at the end it makes sure to hit enter. Okay. Anyway, so when we do that, it looks like this: go to command, enter. It opens the command, and then if I go here and I do go to command and hit enter, it's going to, well, this one I haven't shown off, but this one will show me history. But if we go to file, it creates in Vim go to file, and it pulls up Vim immediately. Nice. So that is a little bit of magic. Yeah, but once you do it, it's so simple, and I can just hit Command P and okay, here's my files. Now the thing that I wanted to show you after that is if I were to open WesTerm, we're going to see that it automatically opens Vim. This is something that I did on purpose. Okay. The amount of times that I'm going to a certain place on my computer is to edit code. It's very rare that I'm like, the very first thing that I do is start a script. But if I hit Command G, it pulls up LazyGit. If I hit Command D now, it will actually, let's go to let's go back here. If I hit Command D, it will open up dev mode as a split. If I hit Command B, it will automatically build the project. Okay. And I have this one built so that I can hit Q. Once I've seen the logs and glanced at them, I can hit Q and I can just close that.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Helpful. So just Command B. Oh, it's great.
Now I just create like extra tab or create another.
Right. And so usually it takes multiple steps. Yeah. So I've just consolidated it all down to one step. But yeah, I can still hit Command T, create a new window, and do thing. Yeah. And so that's fine. But I'm over time trying to do less and less, and so that's where I'm at. But I'll show you how it works, the actual configuration of this. So in Sesh, there is a Sesh toml file that you can set up, and this lives under config Sesh toml, and so this is your file. And so the way that this works is you can create a default startup script. So shout out to Joe. I don't know if you're here tonight, Joe, but Joe wrote this feature. This is my script. So I want to open files is what I call the script. And then I can specifically override certain sessions. So this one is my personal project. I want to run the node dev script. So I'll show you that one in a second.
I see.
But anyway, most of these are just going to fall back. Let's just kill Tmux. What I love about Sesh is I can just kill every Tmux server I ever had running, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like I don't feel like I've lost a bunch of work or it's going to take a long time to get back into things. So I have this Sesh start script that I use, and then we're going to look at Sesh. And so we'll go to config Sesh, and we have our node. Actually, let's just go to the open files script. And so you can see this is all it's doing. Tmux send keys, this, enter.
That's the first thing.
And so now if I open up any project like WesTerm, it opens files. If I do fish, right, fish.config. And we were just looking at abbreviations. So if I hit enter, it immediately does that. Tmux, Tmux conf. Like it almost always gives me what I want. If you wanted to get clever, you could say, always open the Tmux conf file when I go to the Tmux session. We could do that as an example. So Sesh. Oh no, that's the actual project. Config Sesh is the configuration. And so the other one I was showing you is node dev. This is just like really basic Tmux scripting. So we're going to execute this as soon as we start the session. So I'm going to say, hey, split the window by 10 lines and run the D script. The D script is the dev script that I was showing you. And then switch to a different pane. This toggles you back to the other pane, and then run this. So now if I run Josh Radesky, it will start my dev script and open up Vim And this is something that I can immediately start looking at
Nice.
and open. And so chat didn't see that, but it opened up the browser in the background.
Nice.
And so that's how I do things.
Wow.
We could just say, we need to kill that. Kill tmux, I don't care. We can do sesh. Sooner or later, this is going to end up at the top. So instead of that, I could just create, we can create a new one called tmux. And we can say NeoVim tmux.conf, right? And that's it. And so now we just go up to this one, and this becomes, oh, nope, I'm going to get better. SNS. Oh, that's cool. So we can call this tmux, and we can call this .files/config/tmux. And that's all it takes. So now if we open up tmux,
Nice.
Didn't work. .files config tmux session path. Oh no. C. Anyway, so let's try that again. Tmux .files tmux, and that's the script. So it only takes a few minutes to configure these as you want. And I started going through the idea of like, node dev can be done on any node project.
Okay.
Right.
I see.
And the thing we also were playing around with is, which I haven't done yet, is like new main packages. You can actually add asterisks now. So let's just see if this works. Main packages pack model. Main pack model. Boom, it actually worked. Nice. So now if I were to open up any main package like the env package,
still does that.
So now anytime that I decide, oh, I want to go and I want to edit this, I'm going to probably keep this. So now anytime I make changes to that, the dev mode will automatically be triggered and it'll recompile if I change that code. But if I don't want to mess with env anymore, then, and I go back to model, it's fine. Like now that node instance is not running anymore and I'm able to work. So this has been just so helpful for me.
So that's your sesh feature?
This is sesh. So we call it startup scripts. So the default one will always run, and then it'll fall back to, it's like a fallback script. And then anytime it matches, the session path matches the session you're opening, it will use it instead. But we just added this like a week ago. Someone in the community suggested it, and it only took me a few minutes to add. So if anyone has any ideas for how they want to use this feature more or make sesh better, let me know, because we've been doing pretty active development.
What about like just put some .file under some directory, like .sesh?
So I originally did that with the T-Smart script, my original tmux plugin. And the reason that didn't work for me was because this thing ended up being the same file in multiple places, the exact same file. It was the same code in multiple places. Every single one of those files has to be executable. And do you put that in source code? Because like you are not a sesh user, or you're not, they're using VS Code. So why would I put that script in version control? And if it's not in version control, then if you like get a new computer or something, you lose that file. So it was through a learning experience that I decided not to, because then you end up with copies of a lot of the same things. And I totally get that this one maybe feels not great. I feel like maybe we do like startup script command might be cool. And then I could do like NeoVim tmux. That might be fun. What is it? Asterisks to do.
Yeah, implement this.
I think this could be really cool because then you don't have to create a file, make it executable, and add the custom tmux commands. You just have like, this thing is going to run. So that's a really good idea. I think this would help.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is something that you define globally, and then you could put this in your version control and point to a different place. You could just say like script/startup.sh. Like if you wanted that to be the script path,
right,
you can. But Sesh itself has to know about it.
Yeah.
So I decided just to keep it here.
Yeah.
It just feels easier.
Command sounds more intuitive.
And I put all my scripts for this purpose in the sesh config directory so that I can just have them all in one place.
Why do you have to declare? Oh, okay, I see. I was going to say like startup scripts block, different blocks.
Yeah, that's how TOML works. So TOML, you can repeat these. And with the TOML scripting language, you can fetch, find me the startup scripts that starts with this value equaling that, and you can do that. Yeah, so sesh itself. Oh, sesh.
What about read some like
they're all
.github configuration? Can we get that in the path? Like see if like you change computers.
Say that again, like.
So for the session path right now is like C/.
That was just me. That was my.
If you change it to like a different laptop, it's not C anymore. It's something else, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how you would avoid that.
What about like getting that path from like .git like configuration? Is that possible?
You could have it be like the name of the session, so that if the session name is always the same no matter what computer you're on, that could work.
Yeah.
But going down that path so far, we found that session path is a little bit easier to manage.
Oh yeah.
It's more precise.
Gotcha.
Especially if in the future people decide they want to name things slightly differently, or they want to offer different feature sets or something for naming sessions. I've found that to be sort of a personal thing. Which even look, there's some bug here. It's not supposed to find the full path. So this is a symbolic link problem, I think, which I need to revisit. But if you point to a symbolically linked thing, sesh right now is a little bit buggy. So that's just something to keep in mind. Not a big deal, but if we were to do that again with .files sesh, it actually made that a record. Interesting. So what I tend to do is z edit. We can take sesh. We can say that was a bad value. Is that not here? Oh no, it's an existing session. I thought I closed it.
Oh, you have to close the session in order for it to save.
Anyway, but any other NeoVim stuff? We still got some time. Any NeoVim stuff you want to talk about?
Let's see what others say here.
They were talking about null ls and none ls and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a split in the community right now because the person that was maintaining, was it null ls? Was like kind of burnt out, I guess. I don't remember the exact story, but they were like, hey, I'm going to not maintain this anymore. And so we're going to allow, they ended up forking it, and some community members took on okay, we'll start maintaining this. But then later on, there have been some other ones. I think it's not none ls. Is it conform? Null ls, from what I remember, was like, it was a formatter and a linter. It was doing two things. And so now a lot of people, including LazyVim, are like, all right, we're going to give the linter a dedicated package. And then the formatter is going to be a different package. And so they're maintained separately, which has its pros and cons, but it's, I don't know. people, I don't think anyone had strong opinions. We just like, hey, we would like this functionality to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like it would be nice if one day NeoVim could do more in that area, but it's a lot of work. Like, as you already know, Mason is the thing that can install them. So like formatters and linters, I have those linters, I have these formatters installed. So like, they're installed this way, and then Mason doesn't actually configure them. I'm pretty sure I have. Do I have conform? NoneLS is what I have right now. So NoneLS is the tool that does diagnostics and code actions. So that's like the linting stuff, like showing you the errors and allowing you to fix the error based off of an action.
Gotcha.
Code actions, diagnostics. And it's interesting though, they do offer some formatting here because this is the null-ls fork that I mentioned.
I see.
So null-ls was the original project that isn't being worked on anymore. Null-ls. It was like, no, I don't want to do that. Null-ls GitHub NeoVim.
Oh, nice.
So it's publicly archived. So it is what it is. It's all right. I totally understand that some of this stuff is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
I miss it. I liked null-ls a lot. There are some things in my workflow that shifted and didn't work the way that I want them to, but that's all right. I'll figure it out one day. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I learned a lot.
Do you want to learn about ChatGPT?
Yeah. That's the train, right?
Or is there any other specific thing? Do you remember Vim Tmux Navigator? Did you ever use that? Where you like switch between Tmux panes and Vim windows. Yeah. Did you ever use that?
Yeah.
So you'll want to make sure that gets installed.
Yeah, I use that, and now with the LazyVim, I just use the pane built-in thing. That's pretty.
Oh, you use the terminal panes? Yeah, that works. So you can add this back in if you want. It's just a few lines. Part of me was thinking of how do I, oh bless you, how do I maybe wrap this up in something that can be loaded in? Maybe I should contribute to LazyVim and just add this, because most people want it.
Yeah, LazyVim.
Anyone who uses Tmux wants this because it's a very cool plugin.
Let me write that down there.
But I can send this to you.
Nice.
Siobhan was saying conform is for formatting and NeoVim lint is for linting now. Yeah. And then the new NoneLS is doing both if you have both.
I see.
If you have, it's like you choose one or the other, basically. But yeah, Andres is agreeing with me. Like, I love it. It's so handy to be able to have Tmux splits and Vim windows, and you can switch between them with, I use Command HJKL.
Nice.
But let's talk a little bit about, have you heard of Ollama?
No.
Let's restart to update. Let's talk about Ollama. So Ollama lets you run, sorry, their site is only white. They don't have a dark mode. You can run local language models if you don't want to run
off of other
ChatGPT's like paid service, if you want to do that. So this is very cool. I've been seeing a few really good YouTube videos on using this more. What's really great about them is about 2 weeks ago, they finally introduced basically open API spec in Ollama. So if you run anything OpenAI compatible, then you can use Ollama. Like there's nothing additional you have to do. It just works, which is very cool. So that was a big shift. They use, so Hugging Face is this huge library of models. So this is like GitHub for language models. There's also image-to-image models and image-to-video and object detection and like you name it. This is like all the smart models or data sets. You can download data sets too. So they basically, the Olama guys made this into these sets of
like
popular language models.
Hugging face.
And we'll just talk about Code Llama today. Code Llama. So did you hear about Llama 2?
No.
It's Facebook's big language model that's open source. So anyone can download it, use it on their computer. I think the licensing is pretty generous. Like you can use it for lots of reasons. Community license agreement. So there you go. They talk about it here. I'm not going to speak to it too much in depth in the live stream, but you can just run it. So you can just go to here. It gives you a CLI.
Wow. Okay.
I already had it installed. I don't know why. Here we go. What can you do? And so this is like a call and response. I have a pretty fast computer, so it's going to work pretty well here. But the power in this is ChatGPT. And so here you can do ChatGPT, which I'm doing here, and I'm reading a token from my tooling, and you can like I thought it was M. Actually, I need to enable true. Oh, by the way, that's kind of fun.
Oh, toggle.
Yeah, I can toggle NeoVim. And then it's going to want to re-download. I have a bunch that I've set now. It's use Control and X, and you can add ones that you want to add. So like const to let, start to end, before to after, plus to minus. This is nodems. So if I want to cycle through nodems, left to right, is to R. So this one's fun. This is just a buff enter event, tells me that it needs to load. And then these are the mappings.
This is fun.
So this one's super fun. Yeah, I use this one every day.
Nice.
I probably should add increment, decrement would be good too. Anyway, as I see more need, I go, oh, hey, let me do that. Like before and after, let const happens a lot. Like it needs to be mutatable. Is to R is something common I run into. So anyway, this one. So I use this one the most because I do a lot of M file changes where I'm like, hey, I want to run. Oops, sorry. I want to run a different environment, so I just change it. Yeah, I just change it. I don't have to type it. And then you can actually decrement and increment, so you can go up and down.
That's awesome.
So that's fun. I don't use that one that much, but it's there. Anyways, that one's pretty cool. Back to ChatGPT. So now if I were to show you Gen, this is the tool I use. The command is called Gen.
Okay.
I'm choosing the Code Llama model. And basically I can select this and I can go Gen. And I can say explain. Is it explain? Ask. What does this code do?
Oh, I see.
And so this is sort of in line, and it can explain the code as an example. And so boom, it does all of that.
Just like the Copilot chat, stuff like that.
But what I like the most, and I've been getting better at, is I want to change code, and I want to say make the show model false. And it can detect what I meant, make it false, and return the output for me. So that's really cool. That's something that I've been enjoying.
Gen.
And in this case, Gen has this split mode. You can do float mode. You can show the prompt. But this one in particular, gen.nvim, is open source. You do just be mindful that It takes some computing power. So if you're like expecting your battery to last, maybe don't run language models locally.
Right.
But this one is a very cool project.
Nice.
You don't have to set much of this. Mistral is a decent model that a lot of people use. It's the default. You can change it by experimenting with the models that show up here on the website. They have a bunch of them.
Wow.
And so I've just sort of adjusted these rules. I'm playing around with it more. I'll probably bind this to something soon. I think I'm going to even go out of my way to like do code change under a specific action. But look at this. This is like just a few lines. This is like 10 lines of code.
Very nice.
And then the ChatGPT one, I don't know if I have enable true lazy. Is it a command? Oh, let's talk about this too. You can have Copilot. So LazyVim gives it to you in autocomplete form. So if you're a Copilot user,
I see, yeah.
then just turn on Copilot on LazyVim extras and it'll just work if you're authenticated. So anyway, I do use Copilot a lot. Let's go ahead and get this to play nice. Can I? So this one works using the token. So how are you? Is this going to work? I haven't used this one in a while. I don't even know if it's working. Maybe it's not working. But you can like, it's been so long since I've used it that I'm going to just fumble around. I use Raycast AI. So this is Raycast and it gives me ChatGPT 4. I paid for 4.
Paid user.
And I use it all day. Like there's 4 from today. There's, I don't know, 10 from yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And so I wanted to modify this. And so I just do it in here sometimes.
Awesome.
So Copilot gives you autocomplete, and there are some better ways to use it. But those are some of the toolings I use.
Wow. Okay.
But my main question now is, are any of these worth mentioning? You can do ink rename's really great. You can rename stuff using the LSP. So if you want to like rename a variable, it'll like update everywhere that variable is called.
Yeah.
And it will look in like other places that it's referenced and change it there as well.
Nice.
Get signs is really popular. That's how all the Git stuff works. I think there's some basic Git signs stuff embedded in the project already, LazyVim.
Yeah, LazyVim, yeah.
But I have specific things that I've set up. And so it's been really great working with that. This one's an interesting kind of complex version of setting up a project. What else? I have Dark Notify, which lets me switch. Okay, shield your eyes, everybody. If I switch to light mode, NeoVim knows to switch to light mode.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. But if we switch back, the capuchin, the color scheme has to change.
Right.
If you have white background with the dark theme text, it's too close to each other. It's not visible. So this was fun that I was able to swap the color schemes.
Okay, I see.
And Dark Notify is a, I just burned someone's retina. Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Shivam. So for me, it's like I'll be honest, if it's like the middle of the day and the windows are open, usually I'm on light mode.
Okay.
And at night, when I'm in the dark, I'm in dark mode. So I tend to be with the sun here when I do that. Let's talk about this though for a sec. You do have to explicitly disable certain plugins, and this is the quickest way to do it.
Right.
Just say enabled false, and it will go away.
Wow.
There's a lot.
It's a lot.
There's a lot. I don't know where else to go with all of this. But anytime you want to play with something, Vim UFO probably you would like.
Vim UFO.
Have you ever used code folds?
Yeah, I used the what is it called, that popular one? Something tree.
So I really like this one because if I do like main model, if we go back here and we open up this, the way that UFO works, is it not going to work for me today? Come on, UFO. Is it usually?
Oh, tree sitter. Use tree sitter.
It usually truncates my modules for me. I don't know why it's not doing it today, but I do recommend UFO. It's really great. Let's go back to NeoVim. And so there's a lot going on here. A lot of this is just sort of copy pasted from the repo. And I think I did change some of these. So you see the 21 keys here. And so you got all the mappings.
Okay.
So it's like fold more is M, fold less is R.
Okay.
So you can kind of repeat this. And if you want to like extend all, it's capital R, open all folds. And then fold all closes, capital M. And then I use A a lot. So A is under cursor. So if you're like, I just want to
wow, this is weird.
Toggle folds and stuff, like it uses tree sitter. So tree sitter under the hood is what's driving it.
This is just more powerful.
But this makes it just cleaner. It looks better. Like you can see here that there's this little symbol with the 21. And again, on certain languages, it like automatically folds certain things for you.
Gotcha.
Let me go to like web. Let's go do. So like here, maybe it's not working. Maybe I need to investigate.
The auto folds.
Well, I turned on. It's running. I turned on lazy true on my whole config. So I bet if we were to go back, lazy. Be careful doing this, chat. I don't know if anyone here. And I want to know from chat. Is anyone doing this?
I think that's by default.
By default, it's false.
It's false?
Because it's going to load your plugins in the ways in which LazyVim does it. Or if you add your own plugins, it will always make sure to load them so that users aren't like, why doesn't this work, right? Yeah, Ian is a fan of it, and I've been trying to use it more, but
I got it. It was true too.
Oh, that was interesting. UFO just changed their mind about how things work. I'm with you, Ian. I really like it so far. And I know lazy.nvim well enough to know that if something's not loading that I want it to, there's a couple of ways to do this. Let's talk about gen. The first one is the command. So this will only load when you call the command. If you don't call the command, it will never load. Gotcha. So it's like the most optimistic way of doing this.
That's the trigger, right?
It's like a trigger, yeah. The other way that you can do is something like incline. I can say that on the event of buff enter, this is just a standard Vim event that we can, like this buff entered, and so this is incline.
Oh, I see.
Incline shows me my file, my LSP, my Git, and I completely disabled Lua-line. Lua-line enabled false.
I think that's the default one.
And so that's the one most people use.
Yeah.
So buff read pre, buff new file. He uses those a lot.
New file. Okay.
That's smart, Ian. So pre is is right before you enter the buffer. Or in this case, reading a buffer. And then new file is like when you do :in. Or what is it? New. This is like, this file doesn't exist yet, but it is a buffer that you can do whatever you want in. So yeah, yeah, that's really good to know. That's something that you should keep in mind. Something I will say has been a huge time saver for me is something called diff view. Diff view I'm just like spitfire here, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm just going to dump a bunch of knowledge on you now. This one is really good at, buff right post is another suggestion. This one lets me view diffs.
Oh, I love this. Yes.
So I don't know if anyone else just noticed, but Wes term just got smaller.
Oh.
The font just shrank, even though all I did was enter the diff mode. I have bound it to tab. So if I hit tab, it cycles through the changes. And then if I hit space G D, it opens it. And if I hit space G capital D, it closes it. And if it closes it, it's supposed to reset. Oh, it resets, but it was really small. This is the actual default size. So I'm going to make it bigger for chat. But especially on my laptop, I use my laptop about half my workday. I need it to be smaller because I need the at least 80 characters visible so that it's useful and actually helpful. Gotcha. It also does resolve conflicts really well. So it creates 3. And it shows you the middle buffer is the final result, and this is like head, and this is the incoming changes, and it can give you, and you can use leader key mappings that are built in to say, okay, choose this side, choose that side, choose both, and then that center buffer you can modify like you would any other buffer, and then write that buffer, and then you're done.
Just like JetBrains has that exactly that format too, the 2 side, the middle. And you can modify. Yeah,
JetBrains. Yeah, they have good. I mean, even VS Code does it well. So everybody does it well, but a lot of people don't like the built-in NeoVim version.
Yeah,
and I think diffview is great. And for those that may try diffview, there's a few things I do differently. I put the file panel at the bottom so that it's not taking up a huge part of the horizontal space.
What do you mean?
So by default, it shows those files on the sidebar, like NeoTree.
Okay, I know what you mean. Okay.
Like this down here shows up on the sidebar and takes up like a third of the space available. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. And then I have tab is somewhere around here. Do I have tab? Tab might be built into this tooling. So that's great for diffs. Nice. And then this is
looks nice.
This is actually, are any of these useful? Shellcode for fish. These are GH dash. Shout out to Dolev. I think he's sleeping right now in Israel, so I think it's pretty late his time, but he sometimes watches these. He's a buddy of mine. He's on the Discord server as well. And so I can open up Octo. Oh, failed local. I don't have it locally. I don't have this locally either. I wanted like an example. I don't have a good example for today. I usually can open up and do code review.
Nice.
Code review's been really great. Yeah, Shivam, we talked about Edgy at the beginning of the stream. I don't like it. I get why some people do, but I don't like it. I think it is a little bit frustrating that I can't resize things, and sometimes I don't understand what it's doing. It gets kind of it gets all over the place. So I appreciate the shout out. Edgy is cool, but it's not the right thing for me.
Because for Edgy, I would think like that's like a constant thing. It's not like per project. You just set it.
It is constant. From what I remember, it's something. Yeah, but that's the one that like positions certain plugin like Windows like splits and stuff like a really specific way.
Certain people, they like that. Like, okay, I would love the command side, the command window always shown. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's just a piece of what I do here. I mean, there's a lot here. What else is worth calling out? But things like noise. Lots of people love noise. Noise is great. I changed the position. This is part of noise.
Oh.
So this is very much close to raycast. See how raycast is here? And the command line is right close to it. I believe the default behavior is like the middle of the screen. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I want it up at eye level, like where I'm typically looking. And so I shifted it. Yeah. And so like you can do little things like that. Literally all I did was ops, views, you know, command line popped up. Like I'm just updating. And see like this one, incremental rename. You're talking about that one, inc rename. You can rename things.
Ooh.
And so that is the one that will change everywhere you rename it.
That's awesome.
So that's something you can add to get. Noise can give you this little pretty looking, I know you guys can't see it, this little pretty pop-up rather than just like down at the bottom of the screen, you know.
I see.
Because when you hit colon, usually it's that bottom bar that pops up. And so this is a nicer way of seeing it. So noise is nice. And look who made it. Look, more from Polky. This also gives you the pop-ups, I believe. Although notifies the one that gives you the thing on the side. Yeah. And null-ls, I used to use, and I did a lot with null-ls. And so that's just changed since that got deprecated. Oatmeal's another GPT one. Octo is the one I was going to try to show off. Sesh. We can like list issues and open issues.
Wow.
In NeoVim. Pretty dope.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's PRLS. I don't think there's any open. Yeah, there's none open, so there's nothing to look at.
What about the like because my company, they use like the SSO logging to certain orgs. Does it work with that?
Well, the GH dash, this one, uses the, I think both of them use the GitHub CLI. So however you authenticate that, it's authenticated. You're not re-authenticating. They're just using the GitHub CLI under the hood to make GraphQL queries, basically.
Okay, I guess that'll work.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's it. We're at our 2-hour mark, which is usually how long I stream. There were like 90 people on stream today. This is amazing. I'm so glad that people were tuning in. Very quiet. There weren't a lot of people talking, so I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, that you're having a good time. I know a lot of people end up working. Ian's probably working. It's his Friday morning already.
Oh.
He usually comes on later on the stream because he's busy being a human, doing important things.
Nice.
But yeah, so this is just like, these are the plugins I've added over time. Well, we can show off cellular automation. You ready for this one?
Yep, working. I see. Yeah.
Does this one actually work?
Cellular automation.
Oh, argument required.
Make it rain. Is that one the background? Game 5. Oh, I think like very early version of this. You showed me like
did
6-7 years ago.
Yeah, did I? We need to pick something with more. Let's go to the telescope. All right, so we could do cellular automation, game of life.
Wow.
And it plays the game of life in your terminal. So like there are silly things like this that exist that are out there, but what's nice about LazyVim is you can just drop anything in your plugins, mess around with it however you want. Be mindful that you are overwriting. So I talk about like, how do I quit this? No. I don't actually know how that plugin works. All your plugins are imported here. Import plugins. This is importing everything from the plugin directory. Yeah. And so that's what's going on. So when you think about like anything that you call up here or anything you call up here, this gets called after that. And so that's sort of the way of thinking about it conceptually. When you prioritize overwrites, when you do overwrites, that's what's going on. And LazyVim itself is being called here.
Okay, gotcha.
And then our ability to import plugins comes from here. So they're like, this is pulling in all the plugins, and then the extras are called independently, manually.
This is the old way of.
This is the old way, and now you can just lazy. You can just no, not lazy. Lazy extras. You can go in here and you can enable and disable stuff. I think there's like a JSON file or something that gets tracked.
Probably in that shared folder, local shared.
And look, native snippets. That's cool. So there, I need to get better with snippets. I could save a lot of time. But Edgy is built in. This project one is kind of cool. There's some cool project management stuff you can do to manage like groups of files and things. Mini files is the thing I showed you earlier with the little windows at the top.
The 3, yeah.
And those, you can just enable this and there you go. It works.
Nice.
You don't have to add any code. I think what I'll do here soon is show off to other people how do you get this overly minimal aesthetic where like the spaces are not there. Like the white space is empty, and the Lua line is gone, and the sidebar has no lines, and this incline thing shows your file. Like putting all this together could be fun, where you like import something from Josh Medeski if you wanted to play around with it.
Yeah, well, I need to comment out and everything, like try it one by one.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about LazyVim is that you can experiment with things as you see fit.
Yeah.
There's probably stuff I should get rid of because I'm not really using, but there's plenty that I am. Like ESLint is my favorite, and having to set that up is kind of a headache. So doing it in one line is really great.
Yeah.
Same with prettier formatting.
Oh yeah.
Just
especially
one line
for JavaScript, TypeScript.
Oh, and same with Go. All the Go stuff.
Yeah,
like I just added a line.
Wow.
And that's it. It just now I can do Go development in LazyVim. So that's what I've liked about it and what's drawn me towards sticking to it. Oh, that's funny. Ryan's dealing with Gemma. Gemma's the Google one, right?
Google.
Yeah. And so he's saying it gave him a different language. You might want to like figure out with Gemma in particular. My code blocks are usually, I define the code block. I say this code block is TypeScript. I do a lot of this where I do like TS and then TS, you know, const thing equals thing or whatever. So this is my way usually of guiding language models to know what I'm talking about. But that's pretty funny that it saw one thing and gave you a different language. Yeah. Well, it didn't even return Ruby hash, whatever that is. That was probably nonsense. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on stream. We had a lot of people here today. I think people want to know about NeoVim. So
wow, I definitely want to know more.
So I'll keep you accountable and check in with you. And
I'll be your lab rat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So far so good. I'm learning.
You just need need free time, right? To like mess with NeoVim for however much time you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
This has been my hobby for a while. And then I became a YouTuber that talks about this stuff. So
it takes a lot.
Clearly people are interested in NeoVim in particular.
Very nice.
But LazyVim's fun. I think it makes it just the right amount of customizable, but you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours doing just the boring stuff like how do I set up Go? It's like, well, you need the LSP. And the LSP has to be configured correctly. And you need the testing, and you need the linting, and you need the formatting, and you need the...
That's like, literally the story of my life.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's what you're up to next is getting this to load the things you need from the extras.
Nice. Nice.
Chat, what questions do you have before we go? Anyone have any questions on how to configure LazyVim that we didn't talk about? I'll scan through my plugin's a little longer.
Barbecue.
I really like code action menu. This is my favorite. So this pulls up a little thing.
Oh, I see.
So like, let's see. I'm gonna like fix this missing symbol. Oh, that one's not gonna work. I need like a language that I'm used to. Anyway.
I think LazyVim has something built in like that. I don't remember the key binding.
But I can like, I don't know, have a missing extends heads. All right, so like CLXS, this needs to be imported.
Oh.
So this gives me a pop-up that's very clear and visual. And I can say add missing function declared CLXS or import. So I'm going to say to, and it's going to import it.
Oh, I see.
And I'm good.
Do you need?
But the default is like a telescope pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't show up right here, like directly over the thing that I'm looking at. See how like how pretty this is? It's like right here.
I see.
Even here, it tells me what code is going to change. It's going to take this and going to add that thing.
Okay.
So it previews the change. So code action is just like a super simple. Look, it's just one line, and then I have it bound to key maps. Space is what I have it.
Nice.
So if I want to do stuff with code actions, I just hit space. Just a little double thumb tap.
I think the built-in space is to find files.
Find files, yeah. I changed this a long time ago. I prefer it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That one's code action. I mean, there's a lot in here that I could talk about, but we've covered a lot today.
Yeah. Oh, my brain hurts already. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I think Ian had a question.
Yeah. Speak config.
Yeah, they're talking about, so the language server knows what actions to take, but there needs to be a UI that presents the user with how do I make the decision on what action to take. And that's what I think LazyVim defaults to telescope. And I found code action a long time ago. It's not a very active project.
Oh, archive.
NeoVim code action is archived now. Really? Is it?
Oh,
as of December. See, I didn't have releases updated. Oh, he never did a release. All right, Ian, are you ready to fork this? Are me and you gonna take this on and keep this going? So maybe I need to think of a replacement for this, but I really like the way that it looks. It's really simple. It gives you the quick fix stuff here right in line. No thanks, he says. I figured that would be your answer. Maybe noise. We could integrate noise or something to do a better job at handling quick fixes. I don't know. I could just keep using this for a while until it breaks.
Yeah. So far, so good.
Get Delta for highlights, so that's cool. Yeah, he's got kids and a full-time job, so I don't think he's needing to take on any more side work. But yeah, this is super fun. Now that I know that, I probably need to do.
Definitely. Thanks for having me here today. I learned a lot too.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we talk about this, but it's not ever recorded.
Not.
And now we had like 100 people or something come and go, and so now everybody else gets to watch these conversations. Yeah, get sesh, man. You need to switch. I'll make my YouTube video, and maybe that'll be your selling point. For those that don't know, I made a smart session manager. Really popular YouTube video. It had like 50,000 views or something, which I was pretty proud of. And it's got like 300 stars, and people were using it, but it was a lot of strong opinions on unimportant things. And as we wanted to build more features, like a single bash file wasn't enough to be scalable. And so I made it in Golang, which I told you about.
Yeah.
So it's written in Golang now.
Way easier.
More scalable. It's a little bit more difficult because it's a programming language with modules and imports and
set up the
it's not bash, so it's a little bit more complicated. But we've been able to add a lot of features, and I've had way more contributors in the Go project than I ever did with the bash project.
Nice.
So it leans itself toward more collaboration. But I'm making a YouTube video. My next video will be on Sesh.
Nice.
Some of the stuff we talked about today, go back to the basics, talk about how it works and what it does. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
Cool.
It's been 2 hours already.
2 hours, yeah. I tend to only stream for a couple hours. I get tired. I got a work day tomorrow.
Yeah,
so I gotta wake up the next day and work. But thanks everybody for coming. This was really fun.
Yeah.
You're already sold? I love it. Ian says he's already sold. You just have to make the switch. Cool. And this is recorded, so other people are going to be able to catch up on this. I think I'll send my friends to this when they talk about LazyVim. Like, hey, go, if you have a couple hours, go watch me and Day talk about this.
Nice.
There you go. You're going to start over, Ian. You're going to start at the beginning of the stream. I love it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.